regular scheduled Macedonia Planning Commission meeting. Janelle, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor McLaurini?
Here.
Mr. Engel?
Here.
Mr. Kozar?
Here.
Mr. Westbrooks?
Here.
Okay, I believe that this is the full complement of Planning Commission. We still have a vacancy, but all those vacancies hopefully will be filled no later than the middle of January. First item on the agenda is the approval of the October 19th, 2015 Planning Commission meeting.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Here we have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention for the record, Janelle, that's myself. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the November 16th, 2015 Planning Commission meeting minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried with my abstention. Next item would be a request for conditional use permit for a hotel in a B1 district. I believe that this is still on a tabled item, and I think it will remain, as I understand, tabled until they bring in a revised plan. I have met with them, we've gone over the plan, have critiqued it more, got more brick on the building, more elevation changes to both the 271 side, and I believe also to Dennis and I sat with them, so we got a little bit more out of them. The nice thing about it is we're still gonna have the meeting room that they're providing in there, which is about 1,000 square foot meeting room, which I think was something that was asked for by the planning commission. So that's nice. So anyhow, the next item is.
Do we need to officially table that?
It's already, if it's already tabled, I don't think we.
I was wondering if it's on the agenda, it's not like I'm not enacted on it.
Well, you know what, maybe you're right, because there is a requirement of
I think
time.
since there's a public hearing, we're going to keep tabling it to the following meeting, to the next upcoming meeting, so we'll have to table it to the January meeting.
So why don't we go ahead and make that motion to table?
Motion table.
Second. Okay, we have a motion second to table. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion's carried. We're gonna table them, not only because of them not being present tonight, but also because they're revising the plan, so that we're clear on that. The next item is a proposal for a building addition for a standard sign at 9115 Freeway Drive. Is there anyone here on that? Why don't you come on up and identify yourself, please?
Larry Mudd, Construction.
Okay, Larry.
Right across from Stand Signs.
Sure, have a seat. This is going on Freeway Drive, this isn't the one. I don't think I have that sign in my package.
It's not, it's a building addition.
Oh.
Building standard size.
Oh, okay, I have that plan, certainly I have that plan.
That's what I was looking for first too, it's a sign. It's a sign.
Oh, okay.
You gotta find those on the airport.
This is the old Tory Blackburn building. I already looked at this, okay. That's why you threw me a little bit when I was looking for this, okay. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your project, and be happy to hear what you have to say.
The existing 12,000 square feet is what was during the fire on March 25th.
block wall.
Yes.
Behind this, between the two. Right now, this is a standing seam over here on the backside. And,
That'll come down and be replaced.
still have room, obviously, more room to the back here to get.
The elevation does drop off.
It does a drop. And so the south elevation, or I should say the north elevation, is going to be the same materials.
Yes.
And then also on the south elevation.
The new east wall will be standing.
I remember when Tori came in on this building. Yeah. We actually had split face and other materials that were added. I'm glad to see you're carrying that same line across the bottom. So that would look nice. Is there any comments from anyone?
My only comments were that, that the materials do match and that the colors match also, which I'm sure they're planning on, so.
How about, Don, you have anything?
Well, originally it was just to let them know that, whatever the building would have to meet current code requirements, and then I see I got a revision today that you're gonna do that 3-hour firewall. So you're not gonna sprinkle the building with.
Actually, it wasn't even the original plan, but removing the existing wall was this change. We were gonna leave the existing wall and then add the masonry, take down the existing wall.
The distance of exits and everything out to meet code.
Will that masonry wall have to penetrate the roof line, I think, in order to give it the separation?
Or, well, fire stopping is top, it may not have to go above.
3 hour, I think. I think, yeah,
3
it's
hour.
gotta go
Well,
above the parapet.
it'll be reviewed, yeah, well, it'll be reviewed when constructed down through there.
Okay. I'm just mentioning it.
Thank you.
Does any of the board members have anything that they would like to comment on? Janelle, you have something?
I have a memo from the engineer. A full engineering submittal will need to be provided prior to issuance of engineering approval. Submittal shall comply with CO 113705 for site plans and CO 923 for erosion and sediment control. The applicant must submit stormwater calculations identifying the impacts of the proposed development on stormwater quality and stormwater quantity. Stormwater design shall be in accordance with the latest edition of the Summit County Engineers Stormwater Management Manual. A copy of the city's stormwater design guidelines are attached for the benefit of the applicant and the commission. Conceptual approval is recommended.
Efforts to address all those that are underway, regarding engineering use and contract approvals.
Brian, you have anything?
Mr. Mayor, I have a memo dated December 13th, 2015 regarding the request. For the sake of brevity, I can just go through a couple of the quick points for you, if that's okay.
Sure.
The parking is detailed, showing, I think, an additional 18 new spaces. We just, on future plan submittals, just need to see the breakdown of the space. The parking requirements are different by the use, so office, warehouse require different calculations, so you can break that down on the plan, so that'll tell us if the 18 spaces, which I think it is, acceptable. And regarding the lot and yard requirements, the plan is in compliance with all the standard height, setbacks and such. And then there was just no information at this time regarding landscaping, lighting, what's being proposed, so future submittals should include that information. And then just future submittals should have the site plan to scale. I think this might have been shrunk down. At this time, conceptual approval is recommended.
I have a question. I see that you have a turnaround here. Is this driveway not, is this being installed now as part of this new plan?
It is, almost all that is in existing.
This is as well?
Yes.
Is this all paved?
White one exists, we will widen it, but this is a sunken dock into our existing building. Wide mix so it will serve the new summer dock as well. So, recreation, boarding, mills out here, I look towards the high tension lines.
You have a problem with paving this?
Just budget.
I mean, we typically don't approve new buildings without having them paved, especially in industrial areas.
That's
And I understand that, but it's just, you know, what we try not to do is that having curb cuts out are, you know, especially when you're meeting the asphalt pavement, because it breaks,
That is concrete.
this is concrete.
Yes, the apron is concrete, yes.
Could you, I wouldn't care much way back here, but if you could get it up to at least here. You know, get this asphalted from this area, certainly. That way we don't have to worry about you picking any stones out on the street or plowing stones out to the street, or whichever way they're plowing.
I think we approved that originally, I think it was supposed to be like a temporary condition. Was it you guys, was it you guys, I think it was supposed to be a temporary, I think the building was Sunday.
Are you gonna be putting in some downlighting and stuff like that for the parking lot, or is this?
We were originally looking at wall packs on the side of the building as the existing building.
Is there any, so there's really not gonna be any excavation or anything other municipal in these areas, right? This is all gonna remain the same as to what this plan already has. Right. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion for conceptual approval with the understanding that the driveway will be paved back to the turnaround.
We have a motion and a second for conceptual approval. Are there any questions? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. You guys are approved. Good luck.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. You too. Take care. You guys want to sign?
Do we need to put paving back to red line on there?
Well, yeah.
Mr. Kozar, coming your way.
Here. Okay, the next item has been pulled from our agenda. This is, Ella Sign has requested that they be taken off the agenda.
That's good, it's like both. So nationwide's off, so it's saying.
Yeah, they've asked to be taken off the agenda, so there's no consideration. We have a email memo from them requesting a sign. Next is a proposed sign for Summit Point, 9633.
Hello, my name is Talcott.
Hello, you too.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm going around the table. I believe you do have, that this is sent to you.
Yes.
Okay, I did see that.
21.54 square feet. Going over an existing, piece is only going to be 1-inch pan depth that will basically go over the existing sign.
The existing sign there, isn't that a concrete sign chiseled in? And so you're gonna put just a laminate over that, is that it?
Yeah. And there's existing lighting that is there.
That's such a pretty sign.
Yes, I'm definitely a lover of brick and that type of it's beautiful. But this is a very, to me, I still think that there's integrity because you still see the brick. I think it looks very
Well,
crisp.
it's the glaring blue on it along with the fact that, you've got a beautiful sign under there which identifies the building as some point. The only thing that's not on there is capital.
I believe too, they're trying to do some rebranding to stay consistent. So there's also a pan sign that we're doing that's consistent with this.
Do you have any comments, Brian, or?
I do, Mr. Mayor. I have a memo dated December 14th, 2015, regarding the sign replacement. And there is a small 1.3 square foot instructional sign being proposed to direct visitors to the office, as well as the ground monument sign change. And that's based on a December 4th application and sign illustration. I reviewed the ground sign for compliance with section 117907B of the code, which does permit one ground monument sign up to 40 square feet. The panel is proposed as 21.54 square feet, which complies with the requirements of the code. The only comment I had was regarding the architecture and perhaps a review for that, but the dimensional requirements do meet the code and would be acceptable.
Any other comments? I'll just tell you frankly, I don't like the sign. To be very honest with you. I think it's taken away from the integrity of the.
I know that the client that we represent definitely appreciates the brick, and this was something that we worked with them in particular, that we want as much of the brick to be shown, and we even accommodated a future lighting, like this piece can be lit also from underneath as well. They're responsible for that electrical component of it, but again, it was something that was very important to them, was to try to keep the integrity by staying with the brick and being consistent.
Well, the brick is fine. It's just that you got a beautiful sign there that you're covering that says the same thing other than putting capital. I would rather see you come back and find something to put in the triangle that says capital on it, and everything else could stay the same. I'm not trying to tell you what they need to say, but the fact of the matter is that this sign looks, this blue is just too startling on the, I know that color shouldn't be an issue for us, but it doesn't, imposes a different look for me, at least. That's just my feeling, so I don't know how the other board members feel about it. But
Is that a basis for us to deny it? I understand your position.
Yeah.
I think that.
I don't know if it's a basis, I guess the question is it in keeping with a semi-residential component?
Right.
That's the concern that I've got. This is a residential zone district. And,
It can get extremely expensive, this type of work, to the sandblasting,
I understand.
my house is a century home, I completely understand your perspective, but, our particular client does love the brick, and we try to stay with the utility.
Mr. Mayor?
I'm sorry, there also is a hand sign that is also consistent with that as well. That is for the
Mr. Engel had questioned about if it's something that could even be looked at, and I do think it is under your architectural standards in the town center district in which this falls, and I think that's why I raised that issue. I actually spoke to Lucinda Butler numerous times in the fall regarding this issue, and advised her some concern about this approach versus doing something that's more in line with the sandstone, sandblasted inset that they have now. So I do think you have some purview over this in your town center standards.
I would just point out that all the residential developments that I can think of that have signs are more sedated carved stone or carved cement. Certainly nothing with I'm not to be offensive, but it looks like a sheet of plastic. I don't know what it is. Maybe
It's aluminum, it's a good quality
Sure.
material, and, the lighting actually makes it look very beautiful and elegant too.
So what they're trying to do is brand the,
Right.
because it's a capital setup.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah, I don't know that there's it fits within the residential nature of the investors or the as well. So it's kind of the building was approved with that sign. It doesn't in any way take away from the name. The name is still there. I just think that it was too stark for the event.
But what about, what would be your thoughts if this was granted up here when they're walking in? Certainly, it's not out on the road, but it's certainly less than brand.
Or they can brand it up. This is how big is this one? This is,
Very small.
it's very small.
Yeah.
Right.
That to me
I don't have
doesn't
a
make
problem
that,
with
I don't
that.
have a problem with the office one up there.
I agree.
So what if, maybe, I guess what I'm reaching for is that it's possible that some type of a compromise.
Yeah, I'm fine with the office one up there because it's just gonna be a little 12-inch by a 60-inch, which is no big deal. Kevin?
Yeah, well, if there's something, I think it would be with the shrine or the shrine. I don't know if the message on there is still acceptable, or not. I'm not sure if, say, for the community, I don't know if that's going to be something we can reuse any of that, I'm not sure.
Back to try to taking the address off the building and this, the address is, it's engraved in stone and the building signs not showing an address out there around too. Maybe that's an issue.
Yeah, that certainly would be. I didn't catch that. Is there an address on the bottom?
There is, the back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see it, yeah. You're taking that off there too.
I do know that the color, the royal blueness of those really is in line with the blueness of this area, the reserve area. And we did accommodate for future electrical to have this be well lit, so it could have a glow, even hitting slightly behind the sign, so there could be light hitting the brick. I think it could look very crisp and very dynamic and progressive and new, which we certainly want the senior living community to thrive and to be a place where, they would want to go.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
in the fire code, it lists that the buildings need their address posted. When we're dispatched to an address, not a building name. And if we have to mutual aid another company, Twinsburg or somebody, they'll get an address and not a name.
Personally, it drives me crazy because I'm on the road a lot trying to find offices and people don't put their addresses on for half a block. Right? Outside the mission, not every building. especially in commercial, because, you know, because of the gaps between buildings, you really lose track of where you're at. So I think that's important.
Okay,
What would you think, I mean, if they could do something in the triangle and try and minimize the amount of.
That might
or
work.
something.
well, I think if they could leave the bottom and maybe put an identification up at the top or something, just to highlight it, or put capital up there, if that's what
Right.
they're really looking for, is just to get capital up there. I could live with something like that, but, you know, getting rid of the entire Western Reserve, the look that they have there, and the nature of the,
Yeah, if they wanted to, instead of having capital in white, have it just have capital up there in the blue color, with the insignia on it, and
I
with the
think
brick
that's,
show.
yeah, I think that's a fine, we would just have to size it in that space
Mhm.
to make sure that it was of a particular size that, but that seems to be a very good compromise, so in that way we're keeping with the integrity. It would probably be less expensive for them too. 'Cause it
and,
would be
and not,
smaller.
and not to be the entire length, and to be a little bit more squatty, if you will, so that it meets the triangle effect. I'll say capital, you'll be able to read it easily, but you won't be taking it all the way to the extent of the width. So you're just gonna kind of,
It's already a pyramid anyway, so that would look good.
Yeah.
Right. I don't have the site survey here to do the design formatting, but I am clearly understanding that allotting us this particular area to accommodate then the capital with the same color is okay, and the same material to then match their pan face. You could read the width. That would be more in line with what you're comfortable with. Okay,
Right.
gotcha.
Do we want to approve
well,
this
you can
one?
approve the wall sign if you want to do that.
Okay.
Sure.
That's great. Sure.
And we can, so why don't we take a motion to approve the wall sign, and at the same time, we can reject we'll come back with the monument sign.
I'll make a motion to approve the wall sign, reject the monument sign.
Okay, we have a motion. Second, motion is seconded. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion's carried. We have
Thank you,
these.
yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Have a good holiday.
Okay. Okay, we have discussion regarding the biennial, the biennial tree board review.
This is the Franklin and Joe and Frank will sign.
Tom?
Good. How are you tonight?
Tell us about the discussion regarding the biennial tree board review.
Well, it's a requirement of tree city, we need to talk about the trees, locally. So, next year, we do have 3 projects that are going to come up. We have Lake Forest, Thousand Oaks, and Canyon Woods. We need to plant the rest of the houses that have just been planted. I noticed there is a couple of the houses being landscaped, so we'll be able to plant everything in the spring. We have roughly 200, 250 stumps that need to be removed throughout the city along the streets. And we still need to continue our ash tree removals, of which we have in Thousand Oaks, on Lancewood, we have 75. That whole street's going to be wiped out.
There's 75 ash on that street.
Yes, on that one street. So, and.
Was that the plannings of, do we do those plannings, or did they do those plannings?
No, those plantings were done, I believe it was the year before, I would say it was 2006. 2005, 2006.
I'm surprised they didn't ash.
Well, we've made a few, and as an arborist, I've made some poor choices. We've all done it, we've lived to regret it. Pear trees is another, and it's really a bad choice. They hit the 15-year mark, they just break for absolutely no reason. They just break apart. And then we go out and clean them up and finish them up. That's where a lot of the stumps came from too. I think the last 30 trees that we've done, as far as storm damage and just breaking, has been the pear trees. We've had a couple ash trees that have broken, but for the majority of the trees, I would say confidently 25 of them have been pears.
So pears are off the approved list then?
Pardon me?
Pears are off the approved list
Yes,
of plants?
yes, those they're no longer acceptable.
Do we still have a list of trees acceptable for the tree lawns throughout the city? 'Cause
I
we had a
can-
list that was about that long of trees that were acceptable trees, and then, I don't know,
I
are we still
can get
publishing
you
that?
a list. What I do is, it's pretty much a case-by-case basis. Now, what I like to do, I don't want to be a hard nose to tell the residents that this is the tree you're getting, you know. It's kind of nice if you go out there and give them, you know, half a dozen, half a dozen at the most, different types of trees that they can put in. I'll talk to the residents, and if they like a flowering tree, if they have the area that we can put it in, we'll put in a tree that grows 70, 80 foot that flowers. If we don't have the area, we'll put in a smaller tree, put in more of an ornamental type tree. We try to accommodate them the best that we can.
You giving the resident a choice to plant a tree in front of their house, are you talking about an platted subdivision, one where we would approve it? Because typically in the past, what we would do is we would run the entire subdivision with the same type of tree. Why would we give them a variation?
Because of the problem that we have right now with the ash trees and the pear trees. We've inundated ourselves with these trees. And we've taken 150 trees, roughly 150 ash trees. When we did up at Firestone, we took that whole neighborhood out. If we put a variety of trees in, insects typically only go after the tree that they like. Okay, the ash borer was, all they eat is the ash tree. Once all of our ash trees are gone, we're never gonna see this bug anymore. It's gonna be gone. It's going east, west, south, everywhere else that has ash trees. Typically, Asian longboard beetle, it likes the maples, but if it doesn't have a maple, it can go into a cherry. It goes into some different types of trees. But for the most part, the insects stay in one tree.
Well, I think, for example, like Parkview, we had all pin oaks in Parkview. I mean, those are the healthiest trees you can see. Actually, now after some 20-plus years later, those trees are huge, and those pin oaks are really stable on the tree lawns. I don't think we lost maybe but a few at the very beginning. That's why I'm wondering why we changed the streetscape. Like when we did Crow Drive, we did them all the same, all the way down.
Well, there's actually 3 different trees on Crow. There's ash, there's pear, and oak. And I don't know who designed that one. That's a fantastic idea. You have 3 different trees. So we're losing all the ash trees. So you won't notice it as much. Because when we take those ash trees down here, we're still gonna have oaks and pears on.
Till the pears.
And at some point, the pears are gonna come down. We still have the oaks, and hopefully we can replant along the streets. And then, we'll have a constant flow of trees and a difference in age, which is a big key too. So.
They seem to be very healthy on the road as well. You probably see them all the time.
The longhorn beetle that's attacking the maple
Is that as devastating as the ash borer?
No, because with the longhorn beetle, I believe there's some control methods. As far as the emerald ash borer, there's no control method. People can do a control on their tree. It's very expensive, and you have to do it every year.
You mean for the ash borer?
Yes.
Right, you have to
If
drill it.
you don't do it, that tree's gone. And if I do it this year, I do it next year, I find out it's too much money the following year, I just forget about it, that tree's gonna be subject to ash borer.
So is your recommendation then when we do these, like subdivisions that are, we're responsible then to plant after they're built, is that we put a variety of tree as opposed to one
Yes.
species?
Yes, it is, I would rather do that, and we don't have to go in with half a dozen different tree varieties. We can come up to the residents and say, hey, these are the three trees that we're gonna plant here, and, this is gonna be a year subdivision. Hopefully we'll allow enough room that we can actually put nice shade trees with oaks, there's a lot of different types of oaks that we can put in. I like the sweet ones. I know a lot of people don't like them.
Well, when we do that, I guess my question would be is let's say we're going down a street, we then, just give you an example, put an oak, a pear, just for the sake of saying ash, because I can't think of another tree, or a maple tree, or whatever. Would we then continue to repeat that pattern all the way down that street in the same sequence?
Yes.
So then, that theory of then having residents making their choice would kind of fall if you don't have, because you're gonna only put 2 per lot.
Yes.
So then you're gonna have a third, or you do 2 only species in that subdivision, and you repeat them every.
And one of the problems that we've run into, and I was saying, given the suggestion in the older developments that have already been planted, the newer subdivisions, that's pretty much our call. If the problem that we have is our measurements, as far as the houses, a house on the corner might get 6 trees, where they only pay for 2. I know that's the way that it's always been done, and that's the way it's been done since I've been here. I don't know how we can change that. We have this guy buying 2 trees. I run into that thing, the way that it laid out, there was one resident that got 1 tree. We had sewer, we had electrical, we had a hydrant. So there's no way we could get 2 trees. It was impossible for us to get 2 trees. So we only put 1 in. We did rectify that situation. It took us a while, but we got it taken care of. Well, we're gonna run into that. That's gonna be a constant as we go through the development.
Any questions? Any comments from anybody with regards to trees?
Well, how many ash do you think they're gonna have to be removed in 16?
Well, as long as we keep on our progression, the way that we've been doing it, I'd say probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years, we'll have all of our ash trees taken care of. I was talking to Johnny, and we're gonna sit down with the mayor and talk about some of the ways that we can approach this and make it easier for everybody. We gotta get the hazards out of this.
Sure.
That's the most important. And we have to go to the parks. It's just, how are we gonna do it and be systematic about doing it and do it right? And then follow up with the renewals. Once we get the hazards out, then we come back and take all the stumps out and get everything taken care of.
You got a stump grant?
No, sir. They're very expensive. And I have found, the previous city that I was in, we used to rent them. And we'd have a couple of guys go out and they would grind it up, clean it up, fill it up.
So how are you doing our stump granting now?
Well, what I was proposing to Johnny was maybe we contract. That would be probably the best on us right now.
How much are they charging us per stump, you know?
I thought it was $50. I believe it's $50. I have to look for sure.
So if we got 250 stumps,
Yes.
we might be able to buy a machine.
We could look into that. I can find the exact cost. I know we want to be able to get the new one, very good, very expensive. We're looking probably $100,000 for a good stump grinder.
I'm thinking more along the lines of this tailgate type.
Yeah, we always have that.
Yeah, you pull it behind the truck and you pull it up over the stump.
Well, one of the problems that we have with the stump grinding is we have to go down 18 inches. When you go down that far, the root systems only go 18 to 24 inches on a tree. That's all tree, pretty much all trees. Once you get down to that point, at least we can replant. So we'll just chase some roots and, we might have to seed it, leave it set for a few years. But eventually we'll get back to it.
What about the alternative of bringing the backhoe out and just pulling them, depending on the size of them, obviously? Because I know that if they're reasonably sized, you can pull them out with the backhoe.
One of the problems doing that is disposal. People have gotten really picky about taking stumps. They don't like to take stumps.
I think Green Line's taking everybody's stumps. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, they'll take them, they're happy to take them because they got the machine there that grinds them on Freeway Drive.
He lost that fire this year.
Oh, did he? Oh, boy. So now we don't have a place to take our stumps anymore. Yeah, that worked out really well too, because he was taking everybody's stumps.
And when we do that too, we have to watch all our utilities when we do that also.
Well, normally if they're on this side of the sidewalk, you're not gonna hit anything. I mean, you got water and sewer there, but you're not gonna get down to that.
Hopefully,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments, questions? Okay, hearing none, then we'll, do we have to take any motions or anything that we discussed this, or it's just a matter of us showing it on the books that we had our discussion about
We just
the
have
Tree
to-
City and
just have to mark it.
Market, okay, good, so we have it done. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Tom. The last item on the agenda is approval of our 2014 Planning Commission meeting schedule, and, since Dave and I won't be here, it'll have to be you guys determining what is the best, or if these are the best dates. I think that,
Seemed to be.
yeah.
But we were consistently like the third week now, or we kind of jumping around a little bit?
No, just, January and February, we have Martin Luther King Day and
Okay.
President's Day, so we're doing the second Monday on those two. Then it's back to the third.
Okay.
At one time we used to have, remember back in the day, Kevin, we used to have 2 meetings a month. Now here we are down to 1. Well, obviously, there's not as much coming in.
Yeah.
So if these are acceptable, then we take a motion to accept these dates as the 2016 meeting dates for the Macedonia Planning Commission.
Make a motion. Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to accept these dates and the deadlines for submittals. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion's carried, and this will be the agenda for, our agenda of dates for 2016. Is there any other business to come before the planning commission before we retire? Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
Regarding the Marriott facility.
Yes.
Have they submitted a traffic study?
They are in the process of it.
Okay, I asked the planning commission to look at a traffic study comprehensively. We have the assisted living, which isn't operational. They did their study 3 years ago. We have proposed ambassador, which hasn't been built yet, and their traffic study impact. So instead of looking at traffic studies in isolation, can these be looked at together to say what's going to be the bottleneck? Because their study will not take into account the assisted living or ambassador.
Yeah,
So how do we approach that to
Well,
make sure we have an effective method?
We requested that the Marriott people provide us with a traffic study at this intersection of Route 82 and South Bedford. So that's what they're preparing right now before you come back before this planning commission. So we'll have not only the traffic movement on 82, but we'll have the traffic movement on South Bedford, and we can then provide that. So we'll see what is needed.
So you will factor in the assisted living, which hasn't even produced any traffic yet.
Well, the assisted living is now open so that there is traffic being produced, and I can tell you that they're very low on the total pole generating traffic typically. But that will be taken into account certainly.
It will be.
Because certainly the traffic that's coming down South Bedford's going to be taken into account. So we're going to really have a better picture of what we have coming in and out of South Bedford, going either, southbound or northbound.
So will you also take a look at the proposed ambassador traffic, that the two studies that have been done, because that'll be coming through going to 82, there was some coming that way.
Well, there's likely, I believe, if I'm correct, Dennis, I don't know if you were in that meeting or not, but I think that we had requested the ambassador people to do or have a traffic study, or they did one already, which would have been the impact on Highland Road.
Right.
And their agreement then to help fund a turning lane on South Bedford.
Okay. All right.
So that was one of the things, and I am working with the schools right now, and I think I told
Right,
you
you did
that,
mention that, right.
to try to provide for a turning lane onto Highland Road. So even if the ambassador doesn't get it, we know we need it for the school for sure.
Sure.
So that would be something, and we're also looking at a complete signalization and study that was, I think, partially done, but to incorporate there was a grant fund that we were looking for through AMATS so that we could get funding for all signalizations throughout the city. And it was about $2.5 million.
Yeah, I had heard about that being proposed.
So I just actually got to see that the other day, and that's something that we're going to continue to work on, because that would be great, because if AMATS would fund us, I think there are some safety dollars that are available in addition to that, so that we could get that on the table.
All right. And regarding to the ambassador study, being new back on political situation, they did two studies. They did not follow through on what council had requested on the second study, which was to include the high school traffic. In both studies,
Okay.
the first time they did it was done when school was not in session, which was like, you didn't do it on the right day. The council asked them to redo it. They did redo it. They still did not include the high school traffic, so there is some, again, it's not valid in the sense that that traffic at that time was not included. All they did was extrapolate some traffic from their current Twinsburg facility and plugged it into their traffic, but did not include the high school traffic. So I asked the planning commission to take a look at that and to factor that in, have them redo it or reassess it so that we have a very accurate, complete, comprehensive traffic viewpoint.
And Dennis, could you make mention of that to Mike tomorrow?
Because we need to put a call into them and ask them to do that.
Okay, thank you.
That's no problem.
Okay.
Just one other point I'll just make is that when I did meet with them, one of the items, and I think I told you this the other day, Joe, to me was pretty exciting, is that I requested that they give permission to the Macedonia football team to have their practices within the facility for free. So they were gracious to say that they would do that, so I think that that's pretty good too. The only other thing I was thinking about, but I think that it may be problematic, and that was that where the gas easement is, we wanted to talk about maybe putting a walkway there, but I'm going to guess that the residents on both sides would probably jump up and down and put a walkway between the properties.
They walkway
It would be on
from
gas
South
easement.
Bedford to the facility. What was the purpose of the walkway?
Well, for the kids from the high school to get there.
Oh, I see, in the sense of the football team.
So, I mean, that was something that we talked about, but I thought after making that proposal or that idea, that those individuals over there would say, say, well, man, that connects to my property, I don't want that walkway, so I kind of stretched it.
Well, not speaking for them, I think they would.
Yeah,
probably.
I mean, I think there's probably still a way though to get it from the ball diamonds to the back.
Well, maybe around the field, around the
Yeah.
fence, somewhere.
All right, Joe, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other business before the board adjourns?
Yes, so we're soon, we'll have approximately people before that.
Yeah, they're already appointed, by the way.
Okay.
We appointed them at the last council meeting, and so you'll have a quorum, and you'll have 4 members, and I've been, my thought is that I would have loved to have gotten a young female professional to be on this board, but I think I found an architect that's a resident, so I'm trying to pull that person out. So you guys will have a heck of a nice team of people currently. So I'm excited about that. Any other thoughts? Hearing none, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We have a motion, a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion's carried, and I thank you all for being here.
Before I resign.
I know. What the heck? We're retired. Jeez.
No, we've ever specified.